Hello, I'm Richard Ridge for Broadway World. Bradley Cooper, Patricia Clarkson, and Alessandro Nivola are returning to Broadway in a new production of the Tony Award-winning play, The Elephant Man. Under the direction of Scott Ellis, it will open on December 7th at the Booth Theater, and I caught up with the company here at Sardi's during a break in rehearsal. What do you love about the play, Scott?
Well, to be really honest, what I love about the play is being able to see an actor like Bradley embrace it in such a deep personal way. I did it because this is the play he said he wanted to do. We were looking for something to do together. I don't think it would have been my first choice. And yet, once I saw how passionate he was and how much he loved this character, I sort of got swept up into it and sort of fallen in love with the piece.
I mean, you did a beautiful production in Williamstown, which I got to see. You had a very quick rehearsal process. It was a quick run, and now you're bringing it to Broadway. It's like looking at it all over again, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, that's what's so great about it, is Williamstown was so quick, So now we had a really great base there, and now we're able to come back, breathe a little bit, and get back into it. And it feels deeper. It feels we have characters we understand now. We can let that go and go deeper into it. So it's actually really been, it's always a challenge, because you've done it. So how do you let that go, embrace the new, and yet hold on to some of the old, because some of the old worked, so it's that. But so far, I think we're finding a really nice balance with it,
See, it must be so great to put the family back together again. Like you said, all the bases there, and then you just keep shining the diamond.
Well, and also with our new people, like Tony Heald, it's been great because he's such a great actor, and he comes in and he makes you hear it differently. They have to be on their toes, they have to change around. So it's actually really, that's exciting too, because it makes all of us go, oh, wait a minute, we didn't think about that. And then that changes other things. That relationship that he has with both of those characters now changes other things. So that's really thrilling.
Tell me what it's been like working on this show.
Well, it's wonderful to get to do it again after being in Williamstown, because we had a rather abbreviated rehearsal period, and to work on it again and refine it and find the essential qualities of the scenes and the characters. It's a real gift. It's really wonderful.
Talk about who you play.
I play F.C. Cargom, who is the chairman of the London Hospital, kind of the chairman of the board who overseed the entire London Hospital.
And what you love about this play?
There's just something radiant about it. There's something kind of, it's like a stained glass window in a way, with all these figures in it, and there's a strange illumination that I think comes from the spirit of John Merrick, Joseph Merrick, and the three main characters are just so beautiful, and the actors that are playing them are so amazing.
What do you love about this play? This is one of my all-time favorites. I have very fond memories of seeing it originally. What you love about the play?
Well, I'm getting to love it more and more every day. And one of the reasons is because of the humanity, the heart, and then I've been really into the spirit of it too, because the way it connects all of us. And I don't know, sort of the spirituality and the connectedness of everyone, like the other, and getting to go past appearances and go, oh, who are you? And you make me think about things bigger than myself. I think that's about that character. The character makes people elevate their thinking and their compassion, which I love. I love that about it. And it's very theatrical too. I love that aspect of it as well. I've actually never seen it. I'm really looking forward to seeing this one. It's a great looking thing too, and the costumes, and it's going to be gorgeous too.
I've always wanted to play the Booth. I'm such a huge fan of Bradley and Alessandro, and Patricia's an old friend, and the chance to work with them, to work on such a great play, to work with a director who has such a track record, like Scott. It's wonderful. It's wonderful. I feel like I'm going to wake up and, realize it's all a dream.
It's a good dream to be in.
A wonderful dream, yes.
I love this play. Tell me what you love about the play and your roles that you're playing in this.
Well, I love the fact that it affords the audience the opportunity to use their imaginations. It's not spoon-fed like the film. There's no prosthetics. It's all Bradley acting.
Tell me what you love about the play.
I love the play that it talks about, something I very much believe in, that you can't judge anybody by their exterior, that, people you might dismiss because of what you think they look like, and that maybe they're beneath you or above you or what have you, that there could be the most beautiful soul in the world inside that person. If you took a time to talk to them and get to know them, you might discover that. And so that, for me, is what resonates the most about it, that this man who, was so hideous, unfortunately, because of his deformities, ended up captivating an entire city and, in a way, the world with how extraordinarily beautiful he was inside. And, I think that's why it's resonated for Bradley since he was a teenager as well. I think, he's someone who people may have made decisions based on how attractive he was on the outside, and maybe there was not a lot of depth in there. And and he is one of the most talented, most beautiful, deep souls I've ever met. As I've gotten to know him over these past few years, and I think very much that's what the play's about too, and that's why he's so brilliant in this show, and why it touches him so much.
What's it been like revisiting the play?
It's been really wonderful. I was nervous coming into rehearsals just because I'd never reprised a role before. And, so much about rehearsal is a discovery process, and the kind of newness of it is what drives you into the performances with like a life and energy and freshness. And I was nervous that I might feel that I was just like trying to remember where I stood on a certain line and what the inflection of my voice was on that line, and that's just like deadly. So I wasn't sure how it was going to be to rehearse it, and in fact we've just started again as if we'd never done it before. Of course, we're like informed by 2 years of kind of thinking about it. I mean, Bradley and I did American Hustle in between together and spent the whole time on the set just talking about the play, and certainly I've never started rehearsals already knowing my lines, so that's a big relief.
And what you love about the play and the man you're playing?
Well, it was funny. Like Bradley, I'd seen the movie when I was younger, and when they offered me the play, I had remembered the Anthony Hopkins role as being a really interesting and mysterious character, but a very filmic one, and that didn't necessarily have like the big dynamics of a great role in the theater. And so I wasn't sure, but I read the play, and the play was just so different, and this character goes from such confidence and security and arrogance even to just a real nervous breakdown, and I was really surprised at what a huge trajectory there was through the play, and it just was very exciting, the prospect of it.
We had such an extraordinary experience, just as a total, as a whole, and when we did it on up at Williamstown, and to now be back here, in the best place on earth, Broadway. There's no place better. We're all honored, we're thrilled, but we're mainly excited about taking this journey again. We love Joseph Merrick. We love his story. We do this in honor of him. We all want his story to continue on. We want it to live on. It's such a powerful and profound piece and message, and we want it to, I think it's indelible and it will be here forever. It's just a story that should be told always.
It's one of my favorite plays. I lived at the Booth Theater in 1979. I saw Philip Anglin and Carol Shelley. I saw David Bowie. I saw Mark Hamill. What do you love about the play?
Well, first of all, I love the writing. I think, Bernard, Mr. Pomerance has written just a beautiful, clean, elegant, perfectly pitched play that captures a story in concise and beautiful elements, just strung together. And every person on stage has a chance to shine. Everybody has these beautiful scenes, these beautiful moments where you really get to see them at their best. And I love that.
And your role, what a great role to take on.
It's it's a once-in-a-lifetime part, and I couldn't say no when Bradley asked me. I had to say yes. Who says no to Bradley Cooper? No one, unless you're crazy, but I am. But I still said yes. And I'm here, and I love Mrs. Kendall. I love her journey. It's surprising. It's difficult. It's a real. I have to have as I say, an open mind and an open heart as I enter this character every day that I play her. You know, I will have to wake up as Mrs. Kendall.
Yeah. And just following Bradley's journey, I mean, what a journey he's taking with this show.
Oh, you know, this is a young man, from a young man on, who has had this, you know, devotion to Joseph Merrick, and he finally now has brought his journey to Broadway. It's very moving. It's very touching, and I'm so thrilled that we really want to do this, you know, for Merrick. This is for Merrick.
I know this is a passion project for you. What do you love about this piece, Bradley?
I love how complicated it is. You know, Bernard Pomerance wrote very complicated characters, and probably the most complicated may be Merrick, along with Treves. You know, the sort of structure of the play, there's a device where you really do see that they're mirroring each other. And then if you just isolate each scene, you see that they can go so many different ways. There's so many different possibilities. There's a tremendous amount of humor in the play, tremendous amount of humor. And at its core for us in this production, it's a triangle, and it's a love story. Yeah. And we've really had a great time just sort of stripping down the play and sort of leaning it out and finding, you know, just where we want to focus. And the hope is, in the end of the day, that I'm very curious to see what you'll think of this production based on the other ones, that you just sort of leave feeling like you spent an hour and a half with these characters as if you were there in the room.
Yeah. Why do you think this play touches people so?
I mean, you know, well, I mean, he decided to write a play about a man who has somehow managed to impact people for decades, you know, a century later. Certainly me, you know, watching the movie version of his life. You know, and he just represents such a perfect sort of, conflict of a man who had such physical adversity, but yet was able to maintain such a hopeful view of the world, himself, and human nature. And you know, and I think it also, like it says in the play, you know, people felt better about themselves because they knew him. You know, he actually, you know, until they really got to know them, like Treves did, and then he made him question his own self.
And working with the cast and your director, Scott Ellis, tell me.
I mean, Scott's an old friend who I got to do Williamstown with 5 years ago, and then we did it again 2 years ago with Elephant Man. Patty was somebody who I knew socially, and the first time I ever met her, I actually said, God, if you ever, and I still remember it was at a post party for a movie, and I met her at a bar, and I was talking to her, and I just looked at her and I said, you know, if we ever do the Elephant Man, you have to be Mrs. Kendall. And then Alessandro Nivola was a coup. You know, I've always been a massive fan of his. I saw Laurel Canyon. I knew that he could do an English accent like better than anybody as an American. And I called him and I said, would you want to do this play? And he was in the middle of doing a movie, and he worked it out.
Was one of the biggest challenges for you the physicality of the role?
At the onset, back in grad school, yes. At this point now, I mean, yeah, I mean, the whole thing is, but that's the joy of it now. I really, in a way, I have an easier job than the other two because I get to, you know, I get to exercise all of me, you know, all of me physically and vocally, you know, which is a wonderful way to escape into a character.
My final question is, what are you looking forward to the most with bringing this play to Broadway?
Being of service to a real human, to a real guy who existed, who I love deeply. So that's, you know.